Between 1996 and 1997, PlayStation released games like Resident Evil, Final Fantasy VII, and Wipeout 2097, all utilising the trending 3D graphics expected at the time. But there was a game just as successful, impactful, and popular, if not more so than these examples. This is PaRappa the Rapper, the iconic main character of debatably the first rhythm game made by Japanese motion game company Nana Onsha. Released alongside the first PlayStation console in Japan in 1996 and worldwide in 1997, this lovable rapping dog became one of the most widely recognised characters of its time and was pushed to be the mascot for the PlayStation alongside Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. The game, in comparison to others of that time, had extremely simple gameplay. Buttons will appear on the screen, and you have to press them in time with the song that's playing. The better you do, the higher the score, and your rank will change depending on how well you're doing. Almost all other aspects of the game were also simple, possibly most noticeably the art style. So, with the unique graphics both in terms of the style and the bold hybrid of 2D and 3D, along with the experimental creation of the new genre of rhythm games, we have to ask the question, how did PaRappa the Rapper succeed with 2D animation when at the time 3D was the main expectation for audiences? To understand where these unique ideas and traits for the game come from, we have to look at the people responsible for the game's creation. Masaya Matsuura designed the unique game, though didn't start out in the game development industry. Originally in 1983, he was the founder of the band Size, before leaving in 1996 and turning his focus on his company Nana Onsha, a rhythm, music and motion game company that Matsuura founded in 1993. It turned out that Matsuura didn't like appearing in music videos and felt that creating a video game with music playing a large part would be a better form of media to showcase his talent. Rodney Greenblatt, an American graphic artist, was another key person in the making of PaRappa the Rapper. Greenblatt designed all the characters featured in the game and went on to work on future games in the PaRappa franchise, such as Jamma Lammy and PaRappa the Rapper 2. Some of the characters, such as Katy Cat, Sunny Funny, and PJ Berry, were all existing characters that belonged to Greenblatt. Production on PaRappa the Rapper began in 1994, just after the announcement of the PlayStation console release, with an SCE producer suggesting to Matsuura and Greenblatt that they work together to make the game, as both had previously expressed an interest in making a game for the console. Originally, Matsuura sampled existing tracks for the game, but as Sony did not have the rights to use the music, he had to produce his own. Matsuura had a team of artists who created DJ-type music to help him with the creation of the songs in the game, and there are actually 4 different track versions in each level that will change depending on how well the player is doing. The development cycle for the game was about 2.5 years. The developers claimed PaRappa the Rapper to be the original music video game, boldly stated on the back of the box, a game genre that was relatively unheard of. The only thing remotely similar was the memory tabletop game Simon, a world away from the cutting-edge PlayStation. In an interview, Matsuura recalls the staff at Sony Computer Entertainment telling him, "This is not a game." Even Matsuura himself wasn't entirely sure, confessing, "Even for me, it was not clear to me either if this was a game or not." PaRappa the Rapper was also one of the first games to use motion capture to achieve more realistic movements from the characters, though realistic may not be a word used to describe the character design overall. As for character design and visuals, PaRappa certainly was unique, with the characters being in 2D in a 3D environment, reflecting that PaRappa in Japanese roughly translates to paper thin. This can be considered as a great design choice, as the characters wouldn't look the same or have the same appeal in 3D. Keeping them 2D preserves the cartoony style of Greenblatt and keeps things consistent throughout the game and its franchising in terms of concept work, final designs, promo work, gameplay, as well as cutscenes and even merch. The reason this is mentioned is because at the time, other successful games may have included 2D imagery on the cover of the game, but the actual game had the 3D polygonal design, the cover serving as a reference when the graphics didn't do the character justice. Now, with the time that has passed, and with improved graphics software, characters can translate better into 3D. However, the artistry of PaRappa has a timeless appeal because it didn't need to change and is extremely recognisable as is. In order to look more into the success of the game, a few questions were asked to someone who has played the game and someone with knowledge of character design to get a better understanding of the impact the game had at the time and to further pinpoint the reasons for the game's success.
I think the popularity of PaRappa the Rapper came from its quirkiness and the fact that it had probably what wouldn't have been described as an indie feel then, but what would be described as an indie feel now. It was fun, it was light, it was a party game, it was the kind of thing that was a bit different from the, Zeldas and kind of Marios and things like that were coming out at the time, which were massive kind of quest games that take hours to play. It was a single player kind of game. This is a lot more fun, multiplayer, and everybody could kind of join in. And, he's a lovable character, so I think all these things kind of meant that this game was going to be very popular.
I think it comes down to appeal. The characters have got a really, really strong style and a strong appeal to them. If that's done sufficiently, I think that can override an audience's expectations of current technology. I think style's always going to win out over that. If we look at PaRappa, I think the music aspect of it is hugely important. If you look at that kind of timing and turn-based music gaming idea, there's a lot of stuff that's still a hangover from arcades at that point of people playing like sort of Dance Evolution, those kinds of things. If we look at stuff like Cuphead, I think the influence of the character style there was enough that it got a series made on Netflix. So yeah, the style is strong enough to be able to carry the weight of the overall product, I think.
I think off the top of my head, the only one I could think of really would be the Paper Mario games. They really played around with 2D and 3D and being able to kind of slip down little areas and things like that because the character was flat. I think that worked really well.
On Netflix, there's a series called Vox Machina. It's based on a D&D group of people. Really, really like that. There's a lot of 3D work taking place in there. The characters are drawn in 2D, really, really stylishly rendered. Very, very character-driven piece of work, but all the environments are presented in 3D style so that you get really, really strong physics and movement and perspective and things like that.
PaRappa the Rapper sold over 750,000 copies in Japan during 1997, making it the 7th best-selling video game of 1997 in that region. In May 1998, Sony awarded the game a Platinum Prize for sales above 1 million units in Japan alone. As of 2003, the game has sold over 1.4 million copies in Japan and over 2,000 copies in the United States. PaRappa the Rapper is still recognisable and influential today, inspiring popular games of the same genre like Guitar Hero and Rock Band, as well as recent games such as Friday Night Funkin'. PaRappa can be seen in fan-made content online and has also often been used for cameos, like appearing multiple times on an animated show Robot Chicken and featuring as a playable character in PlayStation's version of Smash Bros. All-Stars Battle Royale. Greenblatt commented saying, "I'm very happy that PaRappa is making a bit of a comeback, but not so happy about him being in a weapon-filled battle game." So, back to the original question. How did PaRappa the Rapper succeed with 2D animation when at the time 3D was the main expectation for audiences? It has to come down to the design choices in regard to the style of Rodney Greenblatt and the appeal that it had despite the simplistic style. However, it wasn't only the art that played a part in the game's success, but many other aspects too, such as the new gameplay and storyline alongside the likability of the characters. Couple that with the fact it was easy to play. No special combos needed to be memorised like in fighting games such as Tekken. You just had to know your way around a controller. It was deceivingly addictive, which kept you wanting to beat the level and progress through the story. It could even be played as a party game with friends, further making it stand out from the other games at the time. plus Matsura's catchy tunes.